Karibu kwenye MSASA, where we talk to successful people about failure. Traditional media buying is dead. Today, we all work in marketing. And what does this mean? This means we need to think more strategically, or rather think more like strategists when we're thinking about marketing, communication, and who our consumer really is. We need to make full use of all the assets at our disposal, use the data, and really paint a picture of who our buyer actually is. Our guest today has been doing this for over 13 years. He's an expert media person. He does marketing and communications. He does research, and he's the GM of one of the biggest media buying agencies in Tanzania. Enos, Otieno, karibu kwenye MSASA.
Asante sana.
I'm going to start in the middle of nowhere.
Okay? Sure.
All right.
Feel free.
So Enos, you're an accountant by profession.
Yeah.
But you've been in marketing and advertising for over 10 years, close to 15 actually.
Yeah.
It's 13, 14 hapo.
Yeah.
Sindio?
Ndio.
And to be even more specific, your role has primarily been around media, buying, planning, strategizing, as well as research.
Sure.
That's correct?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Sasa unajua, over the last, again, let's just say 10 years, yani maisha ya 2013 na 2023 tofauti sana. And nikisema maisha namaanisha nini? Maisha in the context of media is the way we consume content, the way we find news or news finds us.
Yeah.
You know? Because unajua kwa mfano ukiangalia media houses right now, their biggest challenge isn't just being online, it's being on time.
Yeah.
Unajua?
Yeah.
Kwa sasa inafika mpaka hatua ambayo you can't help but question, these guys need to innovate really quickly, really well.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to stop reporting news and kuchambua news.
Yeah.
Because they already got it on Instagram.
Absolutely.
Sindio?
Yeah.
Somebody already, every time kuna kitu kimetokea, kuna kipindi fulani mwakao kulikuwa sijui ni Mbezi kule, kulikuwa sijui kuna sheli, sijui kuna moto unaungua. Sasa nisubiri mpaka saa 2 usiku wakati watu kibao ashatuma video.
Wewe mwenyewe umesha-capture.
Misha-capture, so what should I again? Unajua?
Yeah.
So what's my point? My point is the way information reaches people has changed over time and is continually evolving. And in that particular regard, you, as a media expert, have to continually evolve with it.
Yeah.
Since you began and now, what are you enjoying learning the most about media, channels, platforms, and the most effective ways to run a campaign?
Actually, I think it's not the media so much, it's the people.
Uh-huh.
So what's driving media evolution is people. So the people are changing how we interact with each other. So picture a group of teenagers from 1999, where they'd hang out, how they'd speak to each other, what would be interesting to them as a group.
Yeah.
And then picture a group of teenagers right now. Yeah. So it's the people and how they change, which informs, which mediums we would use and how those mediums then need to interact with each other. So utakuta vijana 1999 walikuwa wanaenda wana hang out kwenye kile kibuthi cha posta. Wanasubiri either kupokea au kupiga simu. Alafu hangout nyingine mimi mwenyewe hata sijui kwa sababu I was very young. But then right now they are all on TikTok, they are all on Snapchat, they are all on. So it's not one to one. And brands sasa zinakuja zinaingilia katikati au zile platforms zenyewe, because Facebook was not an advertising platform.
Yeah.
It was not a medium.
Yeah.
It was just a photo sharing platform.
Yeah.
But sasa zimebadilika, zimekuja kuwa platforms tofauti. So I think for me, it's just observing watu wanavyobadilika. So human nature na human interactions zinavyobadilika, and which informs media and communication generally.
But when you talk to most media people, they refer a lot to young people. Is there a particular reason why? Because hata mfano uliotoa zaidi, na ni mara nyingi huo mfano utatolewa na media professionals like yourself, about young people. Why is it always young people first?
It's young people first, I believe, kwa sababu ya the numbers. So most of Africa is quite young. So we'll talk about the youth, but then the youth are also the future. They're also the biggest consumers of whatever products ambazo zipo. Yeah. They're the most vibrant. Kwa hiyo wazee wetu unajua magazeti na nini, lakini watu ambao wanataka kuangalia Wasafi, kuinteract na Wasafi, sijui kuangalia whichever media house or whichever media, they're the youth.
Yeah.
If you have a concert, wazee hawata show up hivyo. Unless hata kama ni concert ya kitambaa cheupe, bado vijana ndo watakuwa wengi. So that's why I would say the youth
they're like an important audience.
Kabisa.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then also maybe, I guess, to agree with you, the youth can influence the elderly.
Yeah.
Can they do it more than the elderly influence us?
I don't think so. Because I think the youth actually drive culture.
The youth drive culture.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the youth learn from the elders, but then they drive culture. They drive what we do. Most of the new technologies have been developed by the youth in the recent past. And even the elderly are now using it. Yeah. So there's a lot of learning from each other, but there's a lot to be done by the youth. Wao ndo wana nguvu, ndo wana unajua innovation, ideas nyingi, and they're the risk takers. Yeah. Beyond some age, you're not really taking so much risks. You're protecting what you have.
Yeah, they're also more experimental.
Absolutely.
So they're more willing to try new things. So like when something launches, ni rahisi zaidi a younger person to test it out before an older person. Yeah. Even nikikumbuka binafsi, like when smartphones were coming in and we went from things that sounded like to screens.
Kwa kile kilikuwa na kibetri nyuma.
Maiko nacho.
Okay.
Lakini nakumbuka kwa mfano nakumbuka kuona younger people wakiwa na simu, hata kama ni zile za kufanya hivi zile.
Yeah, the flip ones.
Ambazo ni screen, hazina buttons.
Yeah.
Nakumbuka kuna young people having those before older people. Although the older people are the ones who bought for the young person.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was watching a movie, and the movie was basically about a cigarette company. And how this cigarette company was going about innovating the ways it can advertise. Because I was najua cigarettes na limitations nyingi.
Yeah.
And I remember this scene. I don't know why, it never left my head. And the scene was, washikaji wako boardroom, nini, wanabishana. And then this guy like smacks the table like, bah! And he's like, guys, our target audience is children.
Wow.
I was like, what? He's like, it's children. Okay, what did he say? Okay, I don't remember the words, but I remember the context. The context was, unlike beer or alcoholic beverages, because it's the next easiest thing to pair with a cigarette.
Yeah.
So kuna steam zaidi uko na vibe
la cigarette.
Yeah. So unlike beer, where nikikosa this beer, I can drink that beer, and I can drink this beer. Yeah. People don't change the smoke so much.
Yeah.
People become loyal to it.
Absolutely.
So the context was, we need to get people smoking at 16. Because if we wait until they're 25, kama ameshaanza na ingine si ndo wazi. Na ataanza na ipi? Ataanza na ile ambayo iko karibu yake. So atavuta kakake, babake, mjomba wake, best friend wake.
Yeah.
So he said, guys, our target audience is children. I was like,
wow. But it's not just cigarettes, unajua. It's all brands. Na kwa maana serikali ina nani kabisa? Ina
hairuhusiwi kuuzwa kwa
so hata sigara.
Okay.
Like we are not allowed to advertise to children.
Yes.
Any product.
Really?
Yeah.
Even like soda and stuff?
Yeah, so they like kids shows, kwa sababu you can influence kids differently from how you influence mtu mzima. Yeah. So milk probably unaweza ukaweka, and that's why you'll see kids shows zitakuwa na maziwa, sijui na pipi, like kid friendly products. Lakini kuna vitu vingine huwezi kwenda kuweka panga, sijui wembe, sijui nini. It does not fit. But then even the timing is different. So even kids have to be especially protected. Unakuta tu yani kuna vitu vingine maybe ni kutokujua during those times. Kwa sababu they used to promote cigarette smoking, like it was good for you.
Like it was,
actually, walikuwa wanaiweka next to football kwamba there was a sportsman ad. Sportsman was a cigarette.
Yeah.
And the ad was literally people playing, and then the striker akishafunga goli anakuja apiga pap. So they're literally telling you smoking alafu na kucheza kufanya mazoezi, it's actually it goes together. But then research comes and tells you this thing is harmful to your health. Ni kutokujua pia, like no one is going to bang a bed a boardroom table. Sasa hivi aseme our target audience is children.
Will be cancelled. Lakini in that particular context, I want to talk about positioning, right? Because I feel like one of the industries ambazo zimekutana na changamoto nyingi zaidi than others is cigarette companies, right? However, when you look at how they've been able to do things like product placement, until now band, and on-ground activations, etc. For instance, when you look at how cigarettes were being promoted in Hollywood, they were being promoted in movies, and there were things that would happen immediately after something cool happened. Unajua mshikaji mzee ametoka jengo limelipuka, and then the guys just finished a nice meal. Guy just finished having sex.
The first thing they'll do.
And it's the reward. Is there how big is the impact of positioning a brand or a product when it comes to doing like a media campaign?
It's huge. And I think it's something that personally I feel we should spend more time exploring. We don't really spend that much time exploring brand positioning within whatever context, within a media context or within like a personal setting context. So think of like premium shoes. Alafu think of someone coming to sell you premium shoes at a mall. And ule mtu tu akiwa yuko unsure about themselves, ajui jinsi, unajua ajui hata kama hii logo ya Nike, is it like original or is it inverted the other way around? Yani hautamsikiliza. It's done. But that's brand positioning. So we only think of brand positioning within marketing terms. Sio pale in-stores, you happy. So it's important across the whole spectrum. So kwanzia yani from the factory, that's why right now discussions around child labor are so important kwa sababu it affects the brand all the way to mtu wa mwisho ambaye ataivaa. So it's brand positioning is key. It's more so key kwenye media kwa sababu now it goes to the masses. So how it's done, how it's thought about, and how it's executed is really important. It needs to be thought about much, much deeper than currently it is. Unakuta inakuwa kama part of the creative development.
Because that's the thing.
But it should not be. It should not be. It should be like from a product positioning. Yani hii product yetu ambayo tumeitengeneza, how do we want people to interact with it? Then sasa tutasema, so hii product yetu ambayo tumeshaitengeneza, how do we want people to interact with it? So I go back to the shoe analogy. So this shoe, how do I want like the kids, the teenagers ambao they're really into kicks, to wear it, to convince their friends to wear it? How do I want them to buy it? You see, those are not media decisions, but they're brand decisions. So we need to have thought about them before we get to selling or we get to putting it on media.
So Enos, help me understand. So when we're thinking about brand positioning, what is the role that media plays in brand positioning?
A big role. So media, especially mass media, reaches, way more people than what your store or your direct sales would be able to deliver. So correct brand positioning on media like gives your brand way more mileage than just, having a fancy store or having a very good product that does not reach a good number of people. So it plays an important role, and I think we should speak and think about it more and more. Unfortunately, we don't, especially from the corporate side.
Yes, so positioning is usually like thought about when you want to creative.
Yes.
And messaging.
Yes. And it should not be so. It should be through and through. So it should be from product development all the way to the end user. Anaitumiaje hata product yangu. Because then that informs your next iteration of the product. How will you positioning across the channels?
Can you give me an example of, for instance, the right way to think about positioning before you do like a media campaign?
I would give you. Let me give you an example. So think of you see premium whiskey brands.
Yes.
Right now in the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are they sold within clubs?
Well, first, how premium are we talking? Like Hennessy premium or above Hennessy?
Hennessy.
Okay,
premium.
Hennessy.
Yeah.
So
Martell.
Yeah, Martell is all.
So what most brands will do is they'll get nice looking ladies, to come to exactly.
Yes.
And then the audience is you and me. Yeah. Na anakuja yule mdada most of the times hajapigwa msasa vizuri. So atakuja tu yani jamani naomba ni promote na nini. So she's selling a premium brand. But it's a woye sell. Jamani naomba, So okay. And that's not optimal brand positioning. So you should be more assertive if you're premium. And so you should have thought about how do I appear in a club trying to convince a 45-year-old to buy, 10 Johnny Walkers. Yeah. And that's why I'm insisting that even apart from media, it should be end to end. So even on media, it's a bit easier because I'll work with a creative team and we will work the brand and we will place it on premium moments or premium channels. But then
premium moments. That's interesting.
So you've done all this work.
Yeah.
The creative is awesome. You've placed it, at very opportune moments where people are, willing to interact with the brand.
Yeah. Then
at actual purchase, I am now willing to fork out 250K to buy Glenfiddich. Ule mdada ananiambia jamani usiniache hivi. You see, so all the great work that was done before has been wiped away.
So basically,
so these things marry into each other. Yeah. They speak to each other. So you can't say I'll do great positioning. On in-store, I'll do great positioning on radio and TV, and then unajua pale ambapo wanakuja kununua nitafanya tu. It has to go through the line because when I think of your brand, I don't think of it as separate. It's one thing.
So the whole experience should be the same. Okay. So for instance, as somebody who primarily does media, buying and distribution, most of the time, the creative comes to you. You don't create the creative. Sometimes I'm guessing you don't even get the chance to be involved. The creative just comes to you. Hey, give us a media plan to kutuelezea campaign. What do you do when either you see an ad that doesn't position the brand in the way the brand manager is talking about his own brand? Or even worse, what do you do when you get a bad ad? You tell the client, come and utekeleze lingine.
God, we have so many examples. So what we'll try to do is contextualize the ad.
Okay.
So it's not fit for where we'd want to place them. So we try to tweak the media plan so that it kind of makes sense. Yeah. So an airline gave us, horrible ad.
Okay.
Yeah? So
that the story was bad or the production was bad?
The context was off.
The context.
So we're advertising to Tanzanians, we're advertising to Zanzibaris.
Okay.
And then the Swahili in the ad is from Kenya. Yeah. It's off. You can tell. No Zanzibari says manze, jambo. No, you get. So we try to play around with, especially the mentions, because then you can play around with the mentions that it's, travel to Kenya and do all this. So you're making it work. It's a lot of work, but then you're trying to contextualize it for the listener to kind of get lost in the message that, and not to focus on the message that this was produced there, but this has been produced, with that destination in mind. Sometimes you can make it work. Most times you won't be able to make it work. And that's then the beauty or the essence of having a proper, professional media agency, because then they can save you in those situations.
So, inawezekana kwamba kwa mfano wakati hilo tangazo lilitengenezwa kwa ajili ya soko hili, alafu wakawa wanajaribu kurecycle the same tangazo kwa Wazanzibari, au lilitengenezwa kwa ajili ya Wazanzibari?
No.
Okay.
Lilitengenezwa unakuta matangazo ya 2 years ago, alafu
the recycling.
Kwa hiyo tulirusha tu kule. Sio na Kiswahili bwana.
Kiswahili. What a failure for it. Okay, karibu kwenye MSASA, where we talk to successful people about failure. Can you I want to take you back a few steps. I want to take you back into the very early stages of your career. And yours I find particularly interesting because it's 2 completely separate worlds. I remember before we started recording, you were telling me how, yes, you're a graduate, you're an accountant graduate, Accounting graduate? What's more correct? Accounting?
Both work.
Both work?
Both work.
Cool. So you go to this place and it's a marketing agency. And you're applying for a marketing job. But they push you to media. And then I can imagine it's been a learning experience up until you were able to really stand on your feet, communicate it, and deliver.
It's constantly a learning experience. It's even now it's a learning experience.
Of course, because media landscape is changing.
It's constantly evolving.
So the question I want to ask is, in that, especially the early days, wakati unajifunza, is there one thing that you can easily remember as one of the best pieces of advice you were given when you were starting up?
I would say 2.
Okay.
So one was a great piece of advice. Just be yourself.
Okay.
Just do not try to ape anyone, because you're you. So there's a pressure to...
You say ape anyone? Ape like the animal?
Ape like,
What does that mean?
It means to copy. So do not copy anyone.
Okay.
So do not copy anyone. Just be you. Do what you can and learn from the others, but do not directly copy. Because you're doing strategies and then you want to present as they present. You want to use the same words. You're not them.
Yes.
The other one was at a different agency I worked at.
Okay.
So it's great now. It wasn't great then.
Okay.
The other one was hop onto the bike. So we had this thing for... This bike started running when this company was formed. It's a motorbike. It will never stop for anyone. So when you joined that company, you're told, hop onto the bike. So you hop on and off. So you hop onto the bike, and when you leave, you hop off the bike. I think hop onto the bike, it was not so friendly back then, because basically what it means is that there's no one to handhold you.
Yes.
You learn as you go.
You sink or swim.
Sink or swim.
Yeah.
But then it teaches some level of resilience where, there's a lot of coddling. You learn as you go, or we will wait for you to learn, which it just dismissed that from day one.
Yes.
So you learn today, and make sure your execution is as great. Because if you don't execute, this bike you'll fall off the bike.
Yes.
And we will leave you behind. So I think those 2. Be yourself and just get on with it. Yeah.
My first agency job, I was actually hired as a media specialist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And amongst the many lessons that I got one that stuck to me is the biggest number is 0.
Okay.
And I was like, what? The biggest number is 0? Lakini nikaelewa baadaye akanionyesha. So media plans zinavyochora kama huna tools unachora kwenye Excel.
Yeah. I found that so interesting.
And then you see this 0? This is 100 million.
Yeah.
Add another one.
Yep. $1 billion.
It's $1 billion.
Yeah.
The biggest number is 0.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's so true.
Interesting.
No, you mentioned something walikuwa nafanya kwenye Excel. But you know, that is so recent, eh? Zamani, they used to plan media even without computers. Walikuwa natumia makaratasi ya A3 na ruler na penseli.
Ndio maana templates zinafanana everywhere you go. So yani ile ya karatasi imehamia
kwenye Excel and then yeah. So when we sit with the older guys, walikuwa wanatuambia walikuwa nachora kwa ruler. I'm like, wow.
Enos, kwa mtu ambaye anafanya campaigns ambazo zingine zinafanya vizuri, hasa zile zinazofanya vizuri.
Yeah.
In the media landscape ya Tanzania, what do you advise most people to do? Is it like you must do radio and then do this as well? Or is it you must do digital and do this as well? Or for instance, I know you do a lot of influencer campaigns.
Yeah.
What's really working right now and what's kind of fading right now?
I would advise anyone who's looking to do great campaigns to go back to learning the people. Some of the people will tell you where they are, and they're very obvious. What we fail at, especially as marketer, marafiki zako wengi watakuwa wamekwambia, sisi bwana Watanzania wengi sana wana iPhone. Kwa sababu sisi kwenye room hii alafu wanahesabiana. But then the number of smartphone users ambao kwa Tanzania ni wachache mno.
Yeah.
So if you...
We actually have 16,000 iPhones in Tanzania.
There you go.
Tanzania?
Yep.
16K.
And then now you go and make a specific app for those guys. So wewe una target sales 500,000, but umetengeneza app ya iPhone, you will struggle.
Yeah.
But if you learn the people, kwamba hivi Watanzania wapenda nini? Yeah. Wapo Miladayo, wapo sijui wapi. Then you will work backwards. So if they like this, afu wanapenda vitu vya kuonyeshwa sio vya kusoma. Wanapenda vitu vya kusoma sio vya kuonyeshwa. Yeah. So you'll just get to the media, itakuguide to which medium to use. Because I also believe medium is context specific. It's product specific. So there's no template kwamba nikifanya hivi tawafikia wote, hapana. If I'm selling batteries za magari, I'll sell it very differently, and the mediums that I'll choose are very different from if I'm selling t-shirts, for example. So it's contextual, and it depends on what the people want and what they are also consuming and their behaviors. Sababu wanaweza wakawa na consume TV, lakini wengine wana consume TV wako kwenye simu zao. Afu wengine wana consume TV kweli wame concentrate. So I need to understand the difference between the two, and wengine ni wa target kwenye simu plus TV, afu wengine na wa target tu kwenye TV.
I like the way you're thinking about this. Like for instance, I'm hearing it's not about the channels, it's about the people.
Yes.
And go where they are.
Yeah.
But which also means you should know your people really well.
Yeah.
And if you don't, do research. Yeah. I also like how you mentioned again, it's not about the channel, it's about the moments.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, that's interesting, eh?
Yeah.
So basically, if I'm positioning, I want to position it on a moment that exists so that my product or service can become even more meaningful to that particular individual scenario.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Have you ever had a bad campaign?
I have.
Tell me about the worst one.
Unfortunately.
So the worst one.
So on media, it's usually about situations that happened that are completely out of your control. I've had several. I've had quite a number. So I'll tell you one. So we are running an NGO campaign, and it's about breastfeeding. Yeah. So it's about breastfeeding, but also it's about formula.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are selling formula, but within selling the formula, we're also telling, encouraging mothers to breastfeed. So tumewa invite presenters, tumewaonyesha ni how the product works and how to communicate it. Then one of the presenters anajichanganya asubuhi. So this is like 2-3 weeks after the campaign has gone live. Anasema actually, unajua mzuka tu wa kutangaza. This product you don't need kunyonyesha. Simu ilitoka kule wizarani kabisa. What did he say? Stop the campaign. Tukaitwa wote. Go, get it right. Yeah, so situation ambayo iko out of your control, but it sucks you in. So kulikuwa na fine kidogo that the agency had to pay, but it was sorted. So apologies, mabarua za kutosha na nini. But it teaches you that you have to listen to your campaign.
Do media monitoring.
Yeah. But then also you have to constantly reteach the presenters especially.
Okay.
Yeah, kwa sababu mara nyingi tunawaambia afu tunawaacha for like 3 months.
Yes.
Wanaendelea tu na message. Au unawatumia tu script imebadilika hapa na pale. No, you have to constantly, especially for sensitive topics. Nyingine ilikuwa ni alcohol.
Okay.
So it's late, tumepatiwa, we were doing billboards. And tumepatiwa artwork, print. So normally, artworks ukizi print, you take a sample to the client and a sign off kwamba rangi ziko vizuri, the message is fine na nini. Sasa kwa sababu tumepatiwa artwork muda umechelewa, tukaiprint, tukaiapprove sisi wenyewe pale ofisini. Kumbe pale chini it was a Hennessy ad. Pale chini that message ya not to be sold walikuwa wameisahau kwa sababu the artwork ilikuwa inatengenezewa South Africa. Kwa hiyo imetengenezwa, imetumwa kwetu, tumeiprint, muda upo, tukamtumia printer naye akaimiss. Kwa hiyo the whole chain ikaimiss. Kapelekwa on air mzee. Sasa wote tulikuja kuiona, unaangalia bango unasema there's something
is missing.
How you can't pinpoint it. Again, watu si wa city council wakakuja wakatuambia this is wrong, so ilibidi tumeprint some stickers tukaziweka, but then it was a premium whiskey, so ikabidi tumeishusha, so it was a mess all through. So they happen, especially within media. Sababu see, we come to the last parts za execution. So vitu vikishafanyika huko mwanzoni, it's already been done. So you either have to make good or you redefine the campaign.
So basically a lot of media challenges you experience are consequential.
Yes. Yes. And they cost money.
Of course.
Yeah. They'll
especially
cost
traditional media.
Especially traditional media. The potential for like financial risk is huge.
Yeah.
Have
you ever had a scenario where the mess up was poor strategic decisions? Maybe even if not directly from you or through you.
Yeah.
Like the people were thought of the wrong way.
Yeah. It happens a lot actually. So you'll find situations where you'll advise and then mteja being mteja, au maybe lack of knowledge, lack of foresight. It's a new product.
Yeah.
Kwa hiyo there's a new age thinking here kwamba let's move fast and break things, which in some contexts it's dangerous. So unakuta we want to move quickly, or the client or the campaign has to go live, then mess ups compound. Kwa hiyo mlianza hivi and then it's wrong, and then so by the time unakuja kuirekebisha muda umesonga sana. So it happens. Yeah, we've had situations where in hindsight unaona we should not have launched. Yeah, we could have given it 2 weeks to get the messaging proper, or we should have done a focus group. So
do people do focus groups in Tanzania?
Siku hizi chache sana. You'll find multinationals ndo wanafanyaga, sababu they cost money, and yeah, the industry has really changed. But I think like focus groups really advise and define campaigns. Sababu ukileta tu hapa some wine and then all of us just say no. Yeah. And that's the test. And then so ukaenda kabisa ukatengeneza tangazo. Sasa tangazo lenyewe ndo hatujalikubali. If you go to market with that, then we mwenyewe you're looking for failure. Because they've told you that hii hapana. Yeah. I think it should be done more. Yeah.
So can you tell me more about the things that we're not doing when we're with regards to media again? So we're not doing enough.
I think we're not using enough research.
Okay.
Yeah. So media research imewekwa tu pale nyuma. And then it's not up to date. So ipo. Yeah. Even the way it's read is very biased. You'll have two different research agencies with wildly diverse results, which should not be the case. Sababu mimi ni mimi. So why should I tell you kwamba huwa naangalia TBC, alafu kesho nakwambia TBC hata sijai kuiangalia, huwa naangalia ITV. It does not make sense. So it means either your methodology is wrong or there's something we are not capturing. So I think a lot more research needs to be done. But then as marketing teams, so as media people, as creatives, and as the brand custodians ambao wako sasa kwenye corporate, there needs to be a lot more respect for who we are advertising to. So we speak to these people without engaging with them. Wanaenda kabisa kwenye page yako on Instagram, on Facebook, wanakuambia kabisa kwamba I say your concert ilikuwa, but then no one ever goes and takes that feedback na kuitumia in marketing. Wanaachiwa watu wa customer care, wanawajibu alafu basi. Yeah, so it's also internalizing ile feedback ambao imekuja from the market. Then how do we use that for marketing? Yeah. Then mazoea tu. Yani kwamba wasanii wakubwa ndo influencers wazuri. Who said that? Yeah. Mazoea tu kwamba we think that's how it should be. Kwa hiyo msanii namba 1 and then tutamtumia namba 2 and then namba 2 kama hayupo tutamtafuta watatu. But huku chini unakuta kuna influencers wazuri, actual content creators who we are not using.
So who's a good influencer? I would say not a person, like what are the qualities of a good influencer?
I would look at how they engage with their audience.
Yeah.
So are they consistent with their messaging? Kwa sababu if I'm influencing you to use to buy an extra HP tablet or to move from HP to Dell or I need to have either used Dell, not as a brand, just as a person. Kwamba I am an authority in Dell.
Yeah.
Sami kitokea tu same tu alafu naanza tu na Dell, you won't believe me. Yeah. So I need to be some sort of an authority. It's like if I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
I'm known to either review food or to cook food for a long time. Yeah. So haiwezi kuwa tu eti jana tu nimeamka alafu leo I am influencing. But then how well can they tell a story? Yeah. Because it's a lot about storytelling. So can they hold their audiences
they capture their attention.
Capture their attention for long. Yeah. So I think those are the things that I would look out for beyond the numbers. Kwa sababu kwenye industry mara nyingi tunaangalia tu huyu ana followers wangapi. But then those followers do not translate to anything tangible. Research actually, kama global research, because we don't have like local research on influencers. Global research inaonyesha kwamba sisi tu nikimfollow Kim Kardashian, I'll only see probably 16% of her content, of her lifetime content. Kwa hivyo vitu vingine vyote anapost sitaviona kwa sababu we are constantly scrolling.
Yeah.
So can you imagine getting and paying her all that money for me to see only 16% of? Yeah.
But what does that mean?
So the flip side ni kwamba ana watu wengi sana, it does not matter. So
there's economies of scale up.
Yes. But
smaller influencers now senior 16%.
No, not really. Kwa sababu it depends on wangapi ambao, yani like the speed of or the regularity of posting. Or if I'm posting more from a smaller platform, and I'm a niche, so sina watu wengi, because the chance of hao watu wachache kuona content yangu is higher kuliko watu wengi kuona content ambayo inapostiwa mara nyingi. So it depends on what I'm posting as well. Is my audience interested? Because at some point influencing imekuja tu kuwa kiatu kinawekwa.
Ni kama bango.
Unajua ni kama bango, and it should not be.
It should not be.
Yeah, it should be relevant to who you're advertising to as well.
Okay. And what do you think about these platforms like Wowzy that are trying to kind of automate the way you find, select,
it's actually the future, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Because they're tapping into, it's a new world. So they're tapping into a need that's there, and it's still unexplored. So it will change. The Wowzy that we see now, or those platforms, will not be the platforms that we will see, in the next 5 years. Yeah. And the industry is big. So you find globally, they're all snapping each other up. Yeah. Because we all want to quantify this influencer space, and there are very few people who are digitizing it. Yeah. So there's space there for them. Yeah.
I'm going to change the topic a little bit.
Okay.
I want to ask you like a very random, open-ended question. So, what is the one thing that you, Enos, believe in that most people don't agree with you on?
Interesting.
Karibu kwenye MSASA, where we talk to successful people about failure.
Well, I would say Tosheka. So it's a discussion that I've had. I wouldn't say most people, but a few close friends have found it a bit controversial. So I strongly believe that the way the world inaendelea sasa hivi, kama hatutatosheka, and kutosheka sio tu as individuals, even as corporates, kama hatutatosheka at some point, like we are going to succumb to capitalism. Yeah. So kutosheka in the sense that what is enough? So if right now I asked, us, how much would be enough for you to just step away?
I have a number.
You have a number?
Very specific number.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And is it a reasonable number? Because if you ask most people, they'll give like a wild number. Yeah?
It's reasonable to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's much smaller than what I thought it would have been at Katiniko High School.
Exactly.
Because it was just like, actually, no, I don't need that much.
Exactly.
Yes,
so, and I think more and more people should do that. But most people, I find, do not want to hear a story of Tosheka, especially now with this entrepreneurship gospel. Kwamba yani, we have to, sell, grow big. But if we are so nina sufuria 3 nyumbani, I don't need a 4th one. Why the hell would the sufuria company continue making more and try to sell it to me?
Yeah, but then at the same time, we have a problem of consumerism where we buy for the sake of buying.
No, but we buy because we're sold to.
But we also buy for emotional reasons.
Yes.
Sometimes even if we weren't sold to.
Sure.
There's a day you wake up and you go out there and you just get that thing that you really didn't need. Nobody sold it to you. You didn't see an ad.
Better.
Yes.
Yeah. So my big question is, so then what's enough?
What is enough?
Especially for corporates.
What is enough?
What I would say, part of CSR should be, and it's controversial, at least to me, should be
the surplus.
Sorry?
The surplus, how?
Not the surplus. Like, we have a goal of 10 billion in sales.
Yes.
And if we hit that goal in 10 years, then tumetosheka.
What happens after 10 years?
We maintain.
They maintain the
that 10 billion.
Okay.
You don't need
you don't continue
to go
expanding
to 100. Yeah, because what's enough? And that's why we are overmining, we have all these issues. It's not enough. And enough will never be enough.
So
that's the one lot.
That's very interesting. Because the other side of the coin is somebody thinking, but why put a limit?
Exactly. But then
you're trying to go, the sky is the limit. And the sky is not even the limit. You're like,
But you see, it's a capitalist idea. Kwamba the sky is the limit. So, kama hatutosheki, it means kuna watu ambao wananyanyasika huko chini. So, it's inversely proportional to kutosheka. But you're going towards 100 billion, you will be stepping on someone's head.
But with abundance comes more opportunities, no?
For you, ambaye utosheki. Why don't we tosheka alafu to spread?
Can actually employ 100 billion worth of resources required.
But is that the case? No. Capitalism inasema kwamba hold it. So ile 100 billion ya Bill Gates. It's not like I employ more people at Microsoft.
No.
Yeah.
So that's for corporates. Do you think the same should apply personally?
I strongly believe. So the way I think about it is, how much do I need to survive comfortably? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need a personal plane? Do I need, jets and all that? I don't think so. I think, especially kutosheka with that modest life. And modest is not your modest is not my modest.
Yeah.
Because you said you have a number. I don't know about it, but I think once you have a number and we stay true to that number, I think kutosheka tutakuwa tumeachieve. There's some level of just overabundance or over indulgence that we want to get into that I think is not proper for humanity. Yeah, I think that's the one that nilianza hiyo discussions kumoja yani kama vile haikuisha.
I wish this guy angekuwa juzi akati tunafanya brainstorm. Ile kitu. Yeah. Anyways, that's very nice. Okay. Tell me about Enos before the marketing life began. What was it like growing up, basically?
Ooh. Very jovial.
What does jovial mean?
Jovial means quite active. I was very sporty.
Oh, okay.
I was playing football like no one's business.
Yeah. Did you have dreams of being a footballer?
Not really. Okay. I just loved playing football. Actually, and it never used to affect my studies, especially in primary school.
Okay.
But then my dad didn't quite like it.
Okay.
Watu ambao walikuwa wanacheza nao na nini was not the best company. So I had to be slowly nudged away from it. Well, I had a very happy childhood.
That's nice.
If I may say so.
Was it a big family?
It's a big family. So it's 5 kids. I am the eldest.
Okay.
Afu wengine wote wadogo zangu.
Okay.
Yeah, so kwao yani ni kama mjomba fulani.
Okay. Mmepishana sana?
Hatujapishana sana.
Okay.
Actually it's like 2 years. So our last born tumepishana sana.
Okay.
Last born tumemwacha. So me and our last born is like 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're an uncle, not even
I'm an uncle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you good at school?
I was.
Yeah.
The initial parts. I was. I always led like darasa. I went to high school and then things changed slightly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then baada high school then, because I did a lot of math, so accounting and nini.
Yeah.
So and then that was also a period when I was good because I sped up my studies nikamaliza mapema kidogo.
Oh, umesoma Kenya?
Yeah.
Paka chuo,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the move from there to here, because you've been here for like 10 years.
Yeah, I've been here for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a big move for you or is it just...
No, I think it was part of the jovial. So I've never been a person to be grounded kiivo.
Okay.
I've always been, up and about.
Okay.
So even before I came here, I'd been taken to Ethiopia and considered like a role in
By the
Ethiopia.
same company?
No.
Okay.
By another company.
Okay.
For a few weeks, but then it didn't work out because the culture was just different. And what I was going to do there was also not quite defined. But I've always been willing to try out new things, change, move. So it wasn't such a big move, especially since Tanzania kama nyumbani tu, mnazungumza Kiswahili, same with us. So it wasn't scary. Yeah.
And your partner is?
She's Tanzanian.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
So you met here?
We met in a boardroom.
You met in a boardroom?
Yeah.
Was she a client?
No. So she was one of our vendors. Then,
okay.
Yuko busy pale, anauza, mimi namwangalia tu okay.
Tanzania.
Yeah.
Bongo.
Yeah.
Safi. Yeah. So if you were to write a book about yourself then, or for instance, somebody did a biography and then asked you to honor them with the title for it, what would it be?
Ooh, I've never thought of that. Interesting.
It's the first time.
I'd say the silent, loud one. Yeah. So I am not loud. I believe in your actions being loud. So I try to, I don't speak as much, interestingly enough, but I believe that, your actions can speak for you. Yeah. So your persona, your integrity, the things that you do, things that you engage in, the things that you're passionate about can speak for you. So I'd say, the silent, loud one.
That's very interesting. Do you consider yourself like an introvert or an extrovert?
An introvert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I go
introverted
to,
or kind of?
Not extremely. I can go to parties and, hold conversations, but parties are not my thing. Yeah. I like one-on-one.
Yeah.
I am not one for crowds and stuff.
As an introvert, how are you then a good salesperson? Because you do sales.
Yeah. That's why I said it's not, so I would not identify as, it's more of what I do than, a coat I wear. Yeah. So I think it's practice. So you do it for long enough until you're able to do it very well. When I started out, I just wanted to get done and leave. But over time, you actually start liking it. You engage. I think the thing that helps is I want to know about people.
Yeah.
So it's not just a sale.
So it's curiosity.
Okay. It's what are you interested in, and so it for me it just ties back to the people. So who are you as a person? What excites you? What what are you afraid of? What do you want to achieve? Once you have that, you have a connection with someone. The good thing for me is that I can connect one-on-one.
Yeah.
The group is the one that has. That's where my introvert comes out. Yeah. So I'll listen more than I'll speak. Yeah.
You and I, Enos, are both in the business of rejection.
Yep.
And it can get pretty tough sometimes, especially when there have been a more than usual amount of rejections and, unapitia hako cafes. When that does happen, how have you been able to still be able to overcome and see this is just a phase?
I think there's a level of thick skin that you have to you just develop it over time, but you have to cultivate it.
How do you cultivate it?
I think it's consciously thinking about it. So most of the time you're rejected and you don't reflect on why was I rejected. Yeah. Most of the time tunasema, is it me? Ni yeye wana yeye hakunisikiliza. But if you reflect on it and you're honest with yourself, but kiukweli ile pitch nime prepare 2 days and my delivery was not the best, then you will improve. Because then you'll be like, the next time wameni reject, lakini sio mimi. I prepared enough. I did, I got the basics right. So it helps, especially when now you've improved. Even if there's rejection, it's not internalized. There are factors that led to it beyond you. Yeah. But most of the time unakuta hatuja reflect. Yeah. Kwa hiyo I did not go back and think, why did the rejection happen? It's just, metupa tu mikono.
And what is your relationship with failure then? I'm curious.
I think I'm still learning how to embrace it. Yeah, because I feel like it's a constant learning process. Nikisema iti kwamba I am an expert in failure, nitakuwa nadanganya.
That's not a good thing to be. I don't think that's a good thing.
Yeah. So it's I am
Spartans, what is your profession?
No, we are experts in failure. No. So I am learning to embrace failure, but to use the lessons from failure as a springboard. Because sio kila siku uta succeed. You'll actually fail more times than you succeed. But then how do you use that one time ambao umeikuta sasa hiyo lesson iko vizuri?
It is a proper
Yeah.
springboard.
Yeah.
Has there been a tough failure that had also a very tough lesson that, although tough, you value forever?
Oh, yeah. I think you'll probably have heard it from most other, interviewees.
Okay.
Just COVID, I think, was the biggest lesson in failure. So, we were used to your billings, pitches, maisha yanasonga. And this thing just came out of nowhere. I think for the first time in a month, we billed 0. Like, we did not bill anything.
Because there was no campaigns.
Yeah, because all campaigns zilikuwa cancelled. So it's month 1, month 2, month 3. Then now you start struggling with vitu vya ofisini.
Yeah.
So that was scary. And it just showed me how future-proofing is really important.
Future-proofing.
Yeah. So future-proofing in terms of watu and systems, financially. So not everything needs to be about today. Just how sustainable are we over the next 3, 5, 6 months? Yeah. So just future-proofing against that systemic risk ambao ipo. Kwamba leo kukikatika pap, what do we do? Yeah. I think that's the time ambao it was really demanding. For me. The other time would be, well, I think it was for most businesses when the fifth phase government waliingia madarakani, and we were used to a different way of doing things, and then vika switch. So it needed a different way of doing things and of viewing challenges. So it took some learning. So kulikuwa na changamoto za hapa na pale, but you get on with it. So those learnings, I think, I generally believe biashara za Kitanzania ambazo zilikuja kupitia that period plus COVID, there's very little room for you to fail. Because that was the time.
Oh, that was the time for failing.
Ungefunga yani. Kama ulipitia kile kipindi alafu plus COVID, you don't have room.
In theory, it's supposed to get easier.
Yes.
So tulianza 5 months. 9 months, and then COVID hit.
Boss.
Noma. Sana.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Enos, so we have a segment called Njia Boxi. And we have a theme that we've been running with for quite a while now, I think over 10 episodes. And the theme is go to market. So my question to you is, knowing what you know, especially in the context of Tanzania and East Africa, East and regional maybe, but mostly Tanzania and East Africa. Whenever you get an opportunity to either offer advisory services or actually execute a campaign, a media-driven campaign, what are the checkpoints that you consider when somebody wants to launch a product, a service, or just a campaign, like a promotion of some kind? In your world, ni vitu gani ambavyo unaviangalia hapo unasema hapa ndio au hapa sio?
like I mentioned, so si tunakuja mwisho wa the process. Ideally, we should be
in the beginning.
At the beginning.
Yeah.
Kwa sababu we interact with the people a lot.
Yeah.
Kwa unakuta mara nyingi tunasema labda the people are watching TV. Lakini kama wewe ndio ulianza kutengeneza tangazo, ushatengeneza tangazo la billboard. Kwa hiyo we already off.
Yeah.
Unaenda kuwekea watu bango while they're watching TV. So my checkpoints would be, number one, like, are we in the room at the beginning of at the thinking stage,
at the ideation
stage.
At
the ideation stage?
Yes.
Yeah. So when the colors are being thought about, when the messaging is being thought about, are we within the right rooms? Are we speaking to the right people? Then are we in constant communication, especially with the creative? Because mara nyingi tunapambana na mteja. Yeah. But then you find the creative is just working, or the message that's getting to the creative, to the client is very different. Yeah. From what we will finally have. The rest are just executional.
Sorry. How will the message be different from what you have?
So interpretation.
Okay.
So you have you ever heard of the test here, like the COPS test? I think it was like in the 80s.
No.
So it was an eyewitness test. Yeah. So we'd be in a room, and then like we are student cops. Then it was just to showcase how eyewitness testimony is horrible. So mtu angeingia ndani angekimbia ingia ndani ya room, grab something from a table, afu aondoke faster. After sisi wanafunzi tunaulizwa, describe that person. If we are 30, you will get 30 different descriptions, including the thing that Ali grabbed. So it was usually an apple or something. So now bringing it back to us, it's by the time that the client is speaking to the creative, and then we are speaking to the creative directly, what the client told us, most probably, is very different from what the creative told them. Yeah. So are we speaking as one, and are we receiving the same information at the same time? Because that is critical for us, at least. Yeah. Then the rest now I was saying is operational. So we usually have a checklist. I think we're one of the marketing arms that literally have a checklist.
Yeah.
So give me this in this dimension at this time.
Yes.
Because if ukichelewa tu na siku moja, you know the consequences. Yeah. But then things that now you find are critical to us, but then they get ignored, is follow-up. Because we run the media, but then we monitor the media, and we are meant to give you feedback. Yeah. In terms of research, post the campaign, how many people did we reach? How can we do it better? So that's usually part of my chest list. Yeah. So it's not just the media placement or the media buying or the thinking behind it. It's also post the campaign. How are we influencing future audiences using the learnings that we've gotten from this? Unfortunately, now we are in constant running mode. The post-campaign is not given as much weight as it should be. But I feel like it's a really, really important leg. Yeah.
So how would you change now the narrative of, hey, next time we're thinking about doing a campaign, let's call Enos to sit with the creative guys so that it's the same thing? Because most of the times that won't be the case for you, will it? Or is it becoming more the case?
It's becoming more the case.
Okay.
So you find now it's either because tools are forcing clients to do that. So you have like one harmonized tool. So we're just briefing into the tool. So our agency has like a global tool, and it includes creatives. But then I think clients are also just seeing value in having everyone. And it's not just us. It's the PR
all
agency.
The vendors,
it's the BTL. Because at the end of the day, it's a spectrum. I don't just see the media. I see the creative on the media, and then I go outside and I'll interact with the product on BTL. So it's across the spectrum. You can't just treat one and say, I will work with these guys, and the rest I'll plug as I see fit. So I'm glad clients are learning, but it's a bit slow. So the era where we were getting the ads is slowly being phased off. And it's also the nature of, advertising as it's changing. You need more ads, especially like on digital.
Yeah.
So you're constantly communicating. How do we tweak this? How do we change this? So this is what we're working on. What do you think? Will it work for this platform? Yeah.
So why don't you just build that capacity?
Creative is quite expensive. Yeah. And you need a constant, stream of creative work.
Yeah.
But it's also very specialized.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to have the capacity and the right training, the right investment, which for now, so as a group, we have it. But in Tanzania, it's a space that we've not gotten into yet. We dabble. We'll do digital creative work here and there. We are not the experts at it. We are very media communications, strategy, planning, buying, reporting oriented. Yeah.
What are the 3 mistakes you will never be caught doing in the context of media? Wengine wafanya, lakini sio mimi. Mimi sitaka nifanye hili kosa. Hata kama nilifanya zamani, you will never catch me doing this again.
I'd say assuming. So you just go to bed and assume. You just run that ad. Walipokea.
Litakuwa
Liliruka. Ndugu yangu utajuta. So, interesting story. There's a guy, let me not say walivyokuwa. I can say it. So, telco brand wana rebrand Afrika nzima. So wakakuja na idea ya kwamba wanavyofanya this rebrand waifanye primetime news nchi zote 14. Yeah, so we are changing from Zain to Celtel, whatever. But it will be on primetime news at the same time. Then enzi hizo, kwa hiyo nani zile mini DV zikarushwa nchi zote, watu wakazipokea. Sasa mini DV zilikuwa na changamoto moja. Ukichukua uipeleke station A, wanairekodi, afu unaondoka na ile original unaipeleka station B. Sasa wakampatia Juma kaenda station A, foleni za dawa, akaenda station B, bado na station zingine 3. Sasa tapeleka kesho. Hakubriefiwa kwamba this is critical. Yeah.
It's the whole strategy. Yeah.
Then the planner assume. So all other countries, this thing ran as it was meant to run. And then in your country, and that's the day that the MD, everyone, in fact, we walk off scene.
It's the same time.
We make a station zote. And then nothing.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
you'll never be caught
never assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
I think after COVID, I don't take clients for granted. And I don't even take their spending for granted. There's a time where you'd be like, huyu jamaa ameniletea yani ka campaign kadogo ka kusukuma. I think right now we're counting pennies. Yeah, so hii inanijazia. Hii, everyone is critical, and then you look at their future potential.
Yeah.
So I think I'll never be caught taking anyone for granted. Kuna muda yani mtu anakuta yani umepambana unamtengenezea strategy like this thing probably won't even pay that much, but if we take them for granted, kesho yule ambaye tunampatia all this attention and visibility might not be there, and this small one might grow and be a key player for us. So tunajaribu kuaccommodate wote.
Tough.
Yeah.
The last one?
I think the last one is my people, and say I don't also take them for granted. Sabu, they've stuck with me in the past. Agencies are places, and I think you'll agree with me, where you find you're more integrated than other companies. So it's not really like, the environment is not like a company. It's very, I usually struggle to differentiate it, but it's much more tumeingiliana zaidi. So I struggle also to take them for granted kwamba fulani aliondoka tu akaenda, mwingine amekuja tu ametujoin, because so ofisini my nickname, I don't know if they know that I know, is Mjomba. So I try to be the Mjomba and not to take them for granted. So there's so many things that happen right now, mental health and how to go about it, especially the Gen Zs, the younger people, as they come into the work environment, you find they struggle with things that we would be like, hey, hiki nini kinakusumbua hiki, lakini you now have to hold them and guide them through that process. So I think the people also, I do not take them for granted, or I try not to take them for granted.
So no assuming, don't take clients for granted, and don't take your own people for granted.
Yeah.
Enos, asante sana.
Karibu sana.
Karibu kwenye MSASA, where we talk to successful people about failure.